Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another session of Counsel Culture, and I'm joined by my brother, my friend, my partner in Counsel Culture, Dr. Mike Dow. We always list all of your accolades, world-renowned, New York Times best-selling author, all of it.
We're friends.
Yeah, good times. And a lot of comments, a lot of conversation. We tackle some tough stuff here on Counsel Culture. And the beauty of Counsel Culture, this is our one-on-one sessions.
Yeah.
But usually we're in a round table setting with other men and, you know, in a full audience, and people get to ask us questions, man. And you're always so compassionate and helpful, no matter what the topic is. So, you know, I feel like we just continue to dive deep, you know, into these conversations. Last session, we were discussing quite a bit about just men, and specifically heterosexual men, navigating through the world, or the new world of LGBTQIA plus world that, you know, sometimes as a heterosexual man, I don't know what to say or what not to say or how to move. And you were extremely helpful. And then we started talking about, you know, a few of my friends, and specifically like celebrities who've gotten in trouble and sometimes canceled instead of counseled. And you offered some great information about, you know, just the sensitivities and removing ego and intention, which I think we all can, in no matter what scenario, what discourse or challenges we may come up against, people of different walks of life, we should always approach it that way. You know what I mean? We have way more similarities than we do differences.
Yes, we do.
But I wanted on this session specifically to talk about the fascination, specifically in the entertainment world and celebrity lifestyle, with people's sexuality. You hear this so much. And I don't, you know, I always say, specifically in the Black community, they believe that if you're successful, you must have sucked the dick to get there. like, that's what they believe. They have this thing that they call the Velvet Mafia. You ever heard of that?
Yep.
Like that, there's just like all these secret gay men that are like literally dangling careers in front of people. And when you think about that concept, it's so absurd. Yeah. Especially in today's world where it doesn't matter. Yeah. Really, people are just looking to, like, if you're great at something, you should be rewarded for your greatness. But there's this idea, specifically in entertainment, that if I'm talented and this other person is talented, and I don't get the opportunities that this other talented person got, he was part of the Velvet Mafia, or somebody must have did something to him, or he had to compromise his integrity and do something that he normally wouldn't do to achieve those accolades or that success. Right. And it's usually centered around the gay community. Yeah. What do you think about that?
It's interesting. I think growing up, you hear all the biggest movie stars, all these gay rumors, like, oh, Tom Cruise, oh, he's gay. John Travolta, he's gay. They're all gay. They're all gay, right?
No way.
And I think there is something to that. You know, I think people, well, first of all, we have this obsession.
I always say, once you make $10 million, you're automatically gay. Yeah. $10 million at the box office, he's gay.
But we have this obsession, and we want to know about celebrities. And I think, you know, listen, I think there's a positive side of that coin. I think when you have people coming out in ways or are expressing their fluidity in ways, I think it creates something really positive. But I think on the other side of that coin, what you're talking about is that if somebody's successful, oh, well, they must be gay. Right. Which I think is very damaging to people, to the people who we're talking about. That is almost like a currency, like, oh, well, that guy sucked a dick to get that job. That's why he got that job. Yeah. And that sort of negates that person's talent and what they did and who they are. Right. So I also think, you know, there's this conversation about queer baiting, like Harry Styles. Is he just like wearing those necklaces to try to like get the
a fan is a fan, Doc.
Us in the queer community to come over, you know, and people were very offended by that. You know?
Really?
So it goes both ways. It's so really
like they don't like to be tantalized and played with. It'd be like we want, if you're a part of the community, really be a part of the community.
I think people just want it to be authentic,
Authentic.
right? Like, I think if that is really his expression of who he is, great. If he's just doing that because he's trying to get a new demo, right, and he's trying to like grab
Or just
the
to be
queer
artistic,
community,
though. Like, because I mean, think about everybody from, we said that about Prince. They said that about Michael Jackson. They said that about David Bowie. They said that, you know what I mean? There's so many people, and I won't even touch on this as well, because you said something earlier. I was like, man, if there were more people who would just come out, you know, like, especially into, like, you would be more accepted. Your career probably would actually thrive more than hiding behind this lie, because I think you touched on it. It's about authenticity.
Yeah.
People don't like to be lied to.
right?
Whatever side of the coin you're on, whether you're queer baiting, whether you're pretending to be heterosexual, but there are so many, you know, powerful entertainers that are openly gay that,
Yeah.
you know, from the Billy Porters of the world all the way back. I mean, I think Rock Hudson was probably, or not, before my time, but I think like the society thought he was heterosexual, and then I think,
Right.
you know,
And
later
the whole image was
Yeah.
portrayed to make him look heterosexual, to look straight. And it's interesting, right? Because I think there's this notion of you can't be a leading man and be gay. Right?
that is
So in the Rock Hudson era, that was very true.
right.
But I think in today's world, you've got the Bomers of the world, you know, this very masculine, very chiseled looking dude with, he looks like he could be Superman. And I think people like that who are openly gay, and then you have people like Colton Underwood, this football player who also came out. So I think we're challenging, because you can be somebody who can be the guy who is gender fluid, or you can also be the leading man in a movie. And I think if all people, no matter who you are, if you have a wide variety of opportunities, no matter who you are, if you came out, then yeah, more people are going to come out.
I think we're definitely headed in that direction to where you hit it on the head. People say a reason why some of these big giant movie stars don't come out is because they're told that their career can never reach a level if they're not portraying a heterosexual hero.
Right.
I don't know. I have so many thoughts about that, because clearly we're progressing in a direction where that probably won't matter in the near future. But I still don't think we'll see a lot of people coming out, because one, it technically isn't any of our business.
Right.
And that's kind of what I want to get to. Like, what is the fascination? And I think it might live in that space of authenticity of, like, if I'm a fan of yours, I want to know who you are actually. And if I feel like you're lying to me or you're hiding something, then therefore I don't want that connection anymore. But it's weird, because even what we talked about, this world of, like, you can't be successful without compromising who you are. And I understand that to a sense of, like, yo, if someone's so thirsty that they would do something that they normally wouldn't do for success or an opportunity, I would look down on that.
Yeah, and it's the thirst, right? It's not who that person is. It's the general thirstiness of that person that all of us look at and say, oh, well, that's not something that I really respect.
But I also, and again, I always say I want to be very delicate and considerate when I say this, but there's also something about someone who is living a double lifestyle that scares me. And I kind of like, oh, that's almost a little bit more like, I much rather be around, you know, someone that is open and again, I know it's probably difficult to come out and be yourself, especially, but to me, when you do find out that some of these stories are true, you're like, wait a second, like, was that person, I don't know that person. I thought I knew that person. And now that I'm hearing this, I'm like, so I personally don't even know how to handle some people that I love or consider colleagues or peers or friends, but like, wait, dog, like, you've been
Yeah.
doing, you had a whole boyfriend the whole
Yeah.
time. And
Yeah.
then, cause I have trust issues. So then I'm like, man, so if you're living a lie, have you ever been truthful with me in our friendship?
Honesty is always how we're going to connect with people. I think back in the day, there used to be this notion of, well, I'm Ricky Martin's manager, and well, the only way, people, if your main demo is women, they've got to be in love with you, and you've got to maintain this fantasy that you're having sex with all these women so that they can pretend that he's singing to you. When real in this day and age, I think
He was living La Vida Loca.
and I think there's still a lot of women who fantasize about him and they don't really care that he's gay because guess what? They're not going to be with him anyways, right? It's almost
That's
like
their
this fantasy.
Yeah.
And I think we're really changing in that way.
So how do you feel about people exposing people? Because that's ultimately what this culture has turned into. Because more than the fascination of, ooh, I want to know, now it's like, ooh, I know.
Right.
And I'm going to expose you to the world.
I'm going to catch you.
And not only catch you, I'm going to, I'm going to blackmail you. I'm going to, I don't know how it ended up happening. I still don't know the full story. But even like I remember the Kevin Spacey, ordeal was everywhere. I'm going to be honest, like I didn't know about Kevin Spacey's lifestyle or identity. I just knew I loved him in all of his
House
films.
of Cards was good. Good show.
Usual Suspects, all those. I love Kevin Spacey. But then obviously when you hear however it came out and his career literally was ruined from accusations to how it all played out, but it all felt like it came out from a sense of someone exposing someone.
I think all of us need to be cognizant and give people the space to be who they want to be and to come out in their own time. And I do want to say to the people who are hiding, because I think people who are trying to out people, they're upset with the fact that they're not being honest.
Wow.
But I also know that those
that
people,
is true.
Right? And you
Cat
can kind
Williams said this is the year of the truth.
Yeah.
And it's coming out.
And I can make sense. I can understand why people, at least the intention of wanting to expose somebody, because it's like, you're so angry about the truth. And I always reflect it back to people. It's like, what is it about you in your life that you need people to be truthful with you? What hurt is that about in you? And I think if we can really counsel, not cancel people, we can really help people to have more grace for the people who need to come out, and also the people who are living a little bit of a lie, or living on the DL, on the down low, and they've got a double life. And I think the more we give them that grace, the more likely they are to actually become that fully transparent, honest person.
So, man, it's such a deep topic, specifically in the hip hop community, because hip hop is known to be super masculine.
Yeah.
Hip hop is known to have such a bravado that even the F word and all that stuff was thrown around so much in the early days. And even, today, people are like, nah, that song is gay, but then you have people like my brother Lil Nas X who would jump out there and embrace it all.
Yep.
And, wore it as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
But the homophobia in hip hop, along with there's a lot of so-called closeted energy in hip hop, in that it's you almost really don't know what to believe and what not to believe, because before it was an insult to say, you gay or you're this and you're that, even the term, like the term suck my dick was used so, fluently in hip hop and in the music.
The other concept that you and I have been sort of shooting around is this idea of confusing in the hip hop community to be strong, to be a man, is to be hyper masculine, but that is separate from being gay or straight, And I think it's all confused. I think it's all tangled up in this yarn that's just tangled up. And I think if we really take a step back, what is it about a man having sex with a man, or a man having sex with somebody who is a transgender person? Like, what about that is so offensive to other men in the community?
And then is that considered homophobic?
Right.
So how do you feel about pause? Do you know what that is?
Pause. No, I know.
I love that you don't know what that is. So, in the hip hop community,
Yeah.
there's a game that's often played, and it's fun. And
Okay.
it's like one thing you may not know about pause, but I know one thing you do know about is no homo. Because that's where it kind of started from, like a term, like you would say something, and if
Yeah.
it sounded a little suggestive, you'd be like, no homo.
Yeah.
Like, so, or pause. So, or even now it's like, hey, yo. So it's like,
Yeah.
in our last session, when you said, something about two poles, I'll be like, hey, pause, dog. And it's really just acknowledging that was a little touchy. That could have been taken,
Right.
there's a double entendre there. That could have been taken different ways.
Yeah.
But it's playful.
Yeah.
But I've even gotten in trouble. I did an entire stand-up bit before about no homo. And people were like, oh, that's homophobic. And I was like, nah, I was really just acknowledging the fact that this is something that our community does, specifically in hip hop, to where they're not saying we're hating or scared. We're just saying like, no, we're acknowledging like, hey, yo, you just, that was a little suggestive of what you said.
Well, I'm glad that the game has progressed from those days to 2024. I like the phrase pause better than no homo. Right?
Yeah, exactly. We don't say no homo.
But I think that pause, I think it's, hey, this is something that I'm not comfortable with. This is something that's crossing a line for me. And when you say it, again, it's all context and energy and you not meaning any there's no malintent there, right?
Yeah.
So when you say it, it's like, oh, okay. So that what you're saying to me, if I said something, you're like, pause, you're saying the emotional closeness or suggestibility of something you're saying is making me a little uncomfortable, and maybe there's a little bit of humor in that. Okay.
We love it. Pause. But that's because even like, a very popular podcast, my brothers Mace and Cameron, one of the most popular sports podcasts out there. Those guys are superstars in their own, but it came from their community of Harlem, and they have a great time with it. And it, like when talking about sports and NBA, oh, he's driving to the hole. Pause. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like they have a lot of fun. Even like, all right, Doc, it's time to open up.
Yeah.
Pause. You know what I mean? It's so many things that you can do and actually bring some levity to the scenario where I hope it's not taken as homophobic, but it is something that we often do in the hip hop community. So I definitely want to touch on that, and I think you gave a great answer to, long as there's no malice or malintent to, exile or exclude someone, I think you can have fun with the pause.
And who you are and the way that you have changed and progressed and grown as the world has changed and progressed and grown. I know that you would probably go to the older versions of Nick who just didn't have the life experience.
Right.
I know that you are more in touch with the parts of you that are more soft or feminine or open or, touchy-feely or whatever that is, being a dad. And I know that has benefits in your life.
Yo,
you know what
100%.
I mean? So some of those men in whatever it is, in hip hop who are super closed off, when they say something like no homo, I think there is a part of them, the work here is, oh, you are so uncomfortable with this part that you have yet to explore. And maybe that person could really benefit when they explore it in the way, not in any sort of way that is implying that you are gay.
Pause.
But that openness that you have, I know that it has enriched your life.
100%. Right? And this is the thing, and as much as I hate labels, I guarantee you, or I can emphatically say in my younger years, I was taught to be, and most definitely was homophobic.
Yeah.
Because that's just the community that I come from. You were taught that, to be a homosexual is soft. You were taught that it was something that was not accepted, like you said, not in your household, not in your church, not in your school. So I didn't want to be associated. I didn't want anyone to think that there was a possibility that I could be gay. If someone called me gay, those are fighting words. Or somebody, insinuated something I did was gay. But I've actually, it's funny, and because it's definitely funny. I've had those rumors placed on me like, Nick Cannon, he sucks dick. I don't know if it's said in jest or if it's like something that really is believed. But there was like, there was a young man who we love, you know, I sincerely love this dude. He's hilarious, super talented star, and now he's one of those people that for shock value and controversy, he just says things. He says he said, you know, Diddy gave him the bop slooblop blooblop slooblop, and he said we're talking about his name is Orlando Brown.
Yeah.
And he said he did a whole thing. He was in a grocery store. And he was like, yeah, he's like, Nick Cannon sucked my dick. He was like, Nick been sucking dick. And like, it went viral.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And I found it hilarious. But I also saw, you know, and this is somebody that, you know, I definitely want to sit down and have a conversation with this young man because I feel like there's so much brilliance in him, but I also feel like he needs a lot of help because they put him on these platforms and these podcasts, and the people producing and putting it forth, they're doing it for the shock value. They're doing it for the clicks. And I really want to understand because, you know, we've seen his journey. He went from a kid actor, and he talks about he said, and again, it's so absurd when he says it, but he talks about everybody from Diddy to me to Will Smith to, you know, he said Bow Wow got some bomb pussy. Like, like he just says these crazy things.
Equal opportunity across all people.
He says these crazy things, but it gets the clicks.
Yeah.
And then the people in the comments run with it.
Yeah.
And like, to me, I could care less what people think about me.
Yeah.
But I've seen people really get upset
Yeah.
by these accusations from people like that. And then they're, you know, from the Orlando Browns of the world, then to some of the even more serious accusations to where two people that I would call friends, there's an individual, Chingy, you know, he did the Right Third song in the early 2000s. He got, you know, accused of dealing with someone who was completely lying for the clout by the name of Sydney Starr, who is a member of the transgender community, and later came out and apologized, but it ruined this man's hip-hop career because of a complete lie from somebody who was just looking to get more popular. So there's this clout-chasing energy out there that's associated with the LGBTQIA experience.
Right.
That can be quite damaging to a heterosexual individual.
It is really interesting, you know, when you look from a behaviorism point of view in terms of rewards and punishments, right? I think social media, unlike the old school, like the 80s, when everything that people said was filtered and produced and screened, and now with social media, you have people and you look at them and you can almost understand, at least, you know, the part of them that wants the clicks, because clicks mean attention, it means money, it means all of those things that most of us, at least some part of us, wants. And you look at how that is sometimes hurting the people who are in the gay, LGBT.
I'm about to say, that has to be damaging for that community.
It hurts us, right? It hurts us in this community. So, you know, I think what I loved, going back to something you said, I think it takes a lot of balls to say, you know.
Pause.
Touche. To say, you know, there was a time in my life that I was homophobic, and I wasn't, you know, I was open with that, because then the next thing you said was, because that's what I was taught, right?
Right.
So I think in the openness that you have and the openness that I have, that's why you and I can have this conversation.
Right.
And I think if people, you know, queer people like me and people in the hip hop community like you, if we could actually have a lot of the openness that you and I are sort of modeling in a way, I think we'd really come together, because, man, we have a lot in common. We really do, you know?
I mean, that's what this platform is for. And I mean, you've been with me since the inception, man, and it's been there's been so much growth, specifically just with me in Counsel Culture, because it's funny, because there's the persona that Nick Cannon puts on in you know, I got to say the right things because I've said the wrong things before. And, you know, I got to make sure that, ooh, can we say that? Or, oh, let's reword that. And, but then there's the natural me, who's pretty similar to that guy when the cameras are on. But I still got to do away with some of the old ideas that may have been embedded and taught to me early on. And as a father, I'm growing and like, all right, I got to lead with compassion.
Yeah.
I have to lead with an idea of, even if I feel I'm right, even if I have a strong belief, my way isn't the only way.
Yep.
And I'm learning through this process of like, all right, well, how would I explain this to my son? How would I explain this to my daughter? And I believe my life experience is specifically in the space of being judged, being canceled, being hated on and literally thrown away in certain scenarios because of my different belief systems or lifestyles or ways of life. I feel like I can relate to a lot of other scenarios, not equating anything, but I know what it's like for someone to say, I don't like you. Like people literally come up like, I don't like you because of how many kids you have. Or, I don't like you because of what you said on a podcast. Or I don't, and I'm like, you don't even know me. Like, or but you're so judgmental that you always say what other people think about me is none of my opinion. Like it's like you got all of that poison inside of you expecting me to die.
Good point. I think people are going to be blown away when they see the real Nick Cannon with tears in his eyes talking about the things in his life that really matter. And I think
Just
those
letting everybody
people,
know I was crying all over the show, Doc.
and they've got to catch his episodes because, man, that Nick Cannon, I think, is the most real Nick Cannon you're ever going to see.
Yeah.
And I think that Nick Cannon, well, let me ask you, what would he say to that homophobic, who was taught the Nick Cannon who maybe said homophobic things when he was 18 because that's what he would learn? What would that open Nick Cannon say to that old Nick Cannon?
Man, life is too short to be one-sided.
Yeah.
Like this experience that we've been blessed with, you gotta embrace it to really experience all the things that we desire, like love, like acceptance.
Yeah.
If you're only thinking one way, you'll never really tap into what life is really about.
I just got chills. That means that's good, right? That's good. Getting out of the box. All of us have these boxes, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's sexuality or religion or politics, it's like there is something in what the other side is saying that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? And if we can take the box off of all of us, there's something to be learned, and we can really discover who we really are, not what people told us to be.
It's powerful, Doc.
Powerful.
I think we got to
Truth.
pause right there. Shall we pause? This is a good session, man. This was helpful. I think, clearly the comments is going to go crazy on it. If you thought the last session, the comments were going to go crazy, but I think we got one more that we'll talk about your specialty in our next episode. And then obviously we want everybody to watch the show on Amazon Prime where, you get to see me and my brother talk on panels and in a round circle of some great individuals, man. And then we touch on some great topics because this is a safe space and a brave place that we can reveal together, feel together, so we can heal together.
Yeah.
Counsel Culture. Catch you on the next one, Doc.